make or to have a recommendation to the school administrators by which we can educate the society, we can bring awareness. If we can design certain curriculum by which we can educate the school kids, they can take this information to home and entire family can be educated. At the same time, if we have certain presentation packages for the parents, that even they will be aware of this problem, and the education will definitely help to create awareness among society. To have a research on this topic is going to give me a head start to find out the solution for this particular problem. Thank you, Molly.
Excellent. Thank you both so much. It's wonderful to hear the research that you have completed, Dr. Al-Arashi, and the research that you are just beginning, Deepali. It's very inspiring. So now I'd like for us to move into the dialogue portion, where we will get to hear from our two panelists some of the teaching experiences that they've had and some of the lessons that they have learned from it. So we'll start out with the teaching experiences. Start off by telling us a little bit about your teaching experience in the U.S., the type of schools that you taught for, the size, the students, the age, the topics, etc. Dr. Al-Arashi, if you'd like to begin.
Okay. I work as an ESL teacher and computer instructor for about 5 years in different programs in America, and all my students are immigrants who moved from their country to U.S. I also teach Arabic in Al-Huda weekend school for about 5 years. My students in my English classes, their ages are around 60 to 80 years old. I have very old students sometimes, yes. And in the Arabic schools, they are around 10 to 18 years old, teenagers. And I teach English. I teach them life skills. I teach them internet literacy and guide them to reach their goals.
Excellent, thank you. Deepali, tell us a little bit about the school in Boston that you work for, the Josiah Quincy School, right? Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, please.
Okay, I had observed and helped in the Josiah Quincy Elementary School, which is a public school at Boston. It's a very reputed school with the diverse communities. I was with the grade 1st, 2nd and 5th for their English class, and where the students per class was 15 to 16, but they were awesome.
Awesome, thank you very much. So now let's flip it around. I'd like to know a little bit about the schools you taught for in Yemen and in India. Same questions. Dr. Al-Arashi?
I taught ESL in my country for 7 years. For 4 years in public school, high school and middle school. My students were between, the ages are 16 to 18 years. But the number of the students in the classroom were around 35 to 70 students in the class, huge number. And I taught 3 years in Sana University, ESL2 for 1st and 2nd year, and the number of students were around 40 to 70 students in the class too. Yeah, huge number in the classrooms.
Absolutely. Thank you. Deepali, tell us a little bit about where you taught in India.
So I have 6 years of teaching science and environmental education. I was with the grade 9 and 10th, and 1 year I was with grade 11th. And the class strength was like 55, 65 or sometimes more than that. So it was a very good experience altogether.
Much larger classes than you used to here though.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, so now let's talk about the similarities and differences that you observed. We'll start with the similarities. Dr. Al-Arashi, if you'd like to compare and tell us similarities.
The first thing is teaching for testing. here and there, and dedicated teachers and administrators, though their methods are different. Social injustice sometimes, and according to my academic level, my students in both sides found learning English is a challenge.
Absolutely. Thank you. Deepali, tell us about the similarities you saw between the US and India, please.
There are many similarities. I must say number one is the qualified teachers and those who are dedicated to their work. The best infrastructural facilities with the good science lab and the good computer lab. So I think both the countries, they impart the quality education. Both the countries, we have the concept of private school and public school. So there are many similarities to this, but I feel right now is the wonderful kids which are in both the countries.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So now we'll flip it around. Let's talk about the differences. Lamis?
In US, the curriculum is based on student-centered, which means they focus on critical thinking and problem solving. Whereas in Yemen, curriculum is teacher and subject-centered, which means the teacher will explain, there are only dry lectures, and she will explain everything. The student has to listen, go back home, memorize, and study. And another thing is school structure is a little bit different. In my country, we have 12 grades. From when the student reaches to grade 10, he has to choose his favorite topics, session, and which means that we have scientific section, we have literary section, and we have commerce section. So he has to choose his path. And in America, they would learn and study everything, but their focus is in math and language art. We have in our in Yemen, our schools are isolated, so girls are separated from boys, whereas in America there are mixed schools. In America also, the school system focuses on special education, whereas in Yemen, if we have people on disability, we have certain schools that they take care of them, and there are few. The good thing also about US is they provide professional development during the year, several professional during the year for all the teachers and staff, whereas in my country it's only some training there and here and for not all the teachers. Another thing is I realized that the school curriculum empowers young students and empower leadership among young students, whereas in my country there's a lack in this on this occasion. In US, teachers need to get licensure in order to teach in public schools. We don't have this in my country. And also uniform. We have unified uniform for all students in public and private schools too. I think that's all.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Deepali, tell us some of the differences you observed between the US and India, please.
Thanks, Molly. The first difference come to my mind is the class strength, because I was so surprised for my first day when I just walked in the class and where are the kids, because it was a very small group of 15 to 16 students, where back in Mumbai I'm always used to teach kids for more than 60, 65 or maybe more in number. So they are more in number. Second thing is uniform, because Josiah Quincy School is a public school, so there was no uniform. And in India, it is, whether it is a private school or public school, it's absolutely uniform culture. Sometimes I think it's better because then the students have the feeling of oneness. Surprisingly, but in USA we have many male teachers at elementary level. In India, you will find in certain cities this teaching profession is almost ruled by female teachers. Then about the studies. So I must say the Indian kids, they have to memorize a lot. There is a lot of pressure because of the exam. The stress is very much on their mind, which is not, I did not see that kind of stress, which is very good. The very good importance is given to sports here, which is not in India. And I must mention one thing about the openness. The kids, they are so open. I mean, they can interact so openly with their teachers. They have no fear factor. I remember as a school child, we always have that fear factor to us, anything about our teachers, which I did not see here. And it is really very appreciated. I appreciate that.
I'm glad you liked it. I'm not sure all teachers do. So next we're going to talk about the impact on you as an educator from your study abroad experience coming here to the United States. So we'll start with Dr. Al-Arashi. Tell us one or two or three things that you learned teaching in Yemen that you think has made you a stronger and more effective educator here in the United States.
I learned to love my students in order to inspire them and to be a role model for them. And positive reinforcement to motivate them and to have better achievements. Teaching in public schools opened my mind to the importance of motivate socioeconomic group to continue their school. And the importance of parents' involvement is very important also, because I recognize that only educated parents who are involved in the school system. And of course, the lack of female voice and the lack of representation in the curriculum grabbed my attention, and the importance of including women writers, Yemeni women in the curriculum in order to inspire young girls to express their experiences and feelings.
Excellent. Thank you. Deepali, tell us what you've learned back home in India that has made you a stronger educator or educational administrator here in the United States.
Thank you, Holly. I must say perseverance, critical thinking, enthusiasm, and curiosity for the cultural adaptation. But most important thing which I feel has a paramount importance is the empathy towards kids. In India, we believe in the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It's in a Sanskrit language. It means that entire world is of one family. So whether the kids are from USA or from India, I have always considered them as my own kids. I have loved them and I've got the same love and respect back from them. I believe that every child has the capacity, the ability to do the best, but only in the presence of right attitude and the right environment. So the teachers have the responsibility to motivate them, to direct them towards their bright career.
Excellent. Thank you. Then we're going to flip it around. Tell us what you've learned from your experiences teaching and observing here in the United States that will strengthen your efficacy once you go back to Yemen and to India. We'll start with Dr. Al-Arashi.
The first thing is integrate technology in the classroom and curriculum. It's very important. Develop curriculum based on child-centered. To include project-based learning, to engage the students in to explore the real-world problem. Provide more activities and fun